In the highest tiers of government, survival rarely depends on job performance. It comes down to an ongoing calculation. Does the absolute loyalty an appointee provides still outweigh the embarrassment they cause in public? This diagram illustrates exactly how the liability calculus works. On one side, you have a heavy baseline of guaranteed allegiance to the executive. But day by day, public distractions and scandals stack up on the opposite side. The official's job security only lasts as long as the loyalty side stays heavier. Right now, FBI Director Kash Patel is watching that scale tip against him. Top White House officials are leaking to the press that his firing is highly likely, telling reporters his departure is merely a matter of time. Patel built his initial value with the administration by spending years as a fierce vanguard. He authored memos, went on every podcast he could find, and repeatedly labeled the Bureau corrupt from the outside, doing exactly what the executive demanded of him. Installing him as FBI director served as a transactional reward for tearing down establishment norms, illustrating how a seat in the cabinet can be secured through disruptive, unquestioning allegiance. But the Federal Bureau of Investigation is a massive institution anchored by strict operational stability. It naturally resists chaotic, politically motivated leadership. When a pure political agitator is placed at the helm of a traditional law enforcement agency, the internal gears immediately start grinding. Dozens of veteran staff quickly described a rudderless ship. Directives were handed down sporadically, leaving career agents scrambling to figure out how to implement disorganized and often confusing orders. Playing the attack dog is a valued asset on the campaign trail. But the minute that same personality is tasked with managing a functional federal agency, the resulting friction becomes an immediate operational liability. The cost of keeping Patel quickly compounded, starting with the aviation hypocrisy. Before taking over, he publicly blasted his predecessor for using taxpayer-funded private jets to travel the country, suggesting the planes should be grounded entirely. Yet recent flight tracking data showed Patel flying a $60 million government Gulfstream to Pennsylvania for a wrestling event, heading to Nashville for concerts, and even traveling to the Olympics in Italy. When reporters used publicly available data to track these flights, his reaction caused even more damage. He reportedly fired a 27-year FBI veteran who oversaw the Bureau's aviation operations simply because the trips were exposed. Additional reports from within the agency detailed unexplained absences on the job and excessive drinking, further souring the Bureau's public standing. When pressed to defend his travel, his logic to the American public was baffling. He claimed that if he were truly abusing the privilege, he would have flown to see his girlfriend perform even more often, estimating he only went to about 15% of her shows. These entirely self-inflicted scandals stripped away his utility. Instead of serving as a strategic proxy for the administration, he transformed into a daily public relations disaster. In Washington, an anonymous quote provided to political outlets is rarely an accident. It is a deliberate mechanism used by an administration to signal that a liability is about to be discarded. That's exactly what happened when top officials told reporters it is only a matter of time before the FBI director is ousted, citing the sheer volume of negative press centered around him. The leak makes it clear that the executive is entirely fed up with the distraction. The demand to manage public optics finally overtook the need for his fealty. This intentional release of information is the system's immune response kicking in. The administration ran the numbers and calculated that the political cost of keeping him now heavily outweighs the value of his past allegiance. The current speculation reflects a cyclical pattern of behavior hardwired into how this specific executive leader operates. The modern loyalist follows a predictable life cycle. They give everything they have to hollow out institutions on the executive's behalf, believing their devotion provides armor. But the exact moment they generate bad headlines, they are cut loose. We have seen this play out repeatedly with past officials who thought their blind loyalty made them immune. Every single one of them was swiftly cast aside the second they became inconvenient to the administration. Loyalty in this political orbit functions as a consumable resource with a strict expiration date, used until the person providing it becomes a distraction. While this internal chaos plays out, a simultaneous external pressure pushes back against these institutional disruptions. Lawmakers and advocates are actively demanding systemic accountability from the outside. They operate on the philosophy that you cannot politely wait out a systemic power grab. When civil rights and legal boundaries erode, relying on traditional political deference fails. You have to aggressively return the punch. The tenure of the administration's loyalists is inherently fragile, collapsing the moment their scandals mount. Contrast that with the resolute, long-term persistence of Democratic advocates who refuse to surrender the legislative ground. While the scandals of loyalists like Patel eventually erode their political value, the resilience of the Bureau itself rests with the advocates and lawmakers actively fighting to uphold the law.